This is the Anime Roundtable Canada, presented by Anime North. Check us out on our linktree page for links to everything Anime Roundtable, from our old school email, blog, and podcast site to our streaming video and socials, animeroundtable.com. Well, here we go. We're winding down night number 2 of Anime North. We are on the compound in the Delta Hotel on this Saturday night, May the 23rd, 2026. And the Roundtable has now formally gathered for the 101st episode of the version 2 era. But before we start this evening, we have to take attendance. So, as always, whenever your name is called, please answer as such. Nicholas, here. Austin?
Not here.
Not mentally, anyway. Greg?
Here. I was so tempted to do the hi, like Japanese attendance style, but...
Thanks for showing up, both ways. Ing? Ing? Ing?
He's in our hearts, Mike. He's in our hearts.
Well, 3 for 4 isn't bad, and
well, the door's open. He can come in at any time.
Well, he's gone VTuber chasing for the first little bit. We'll hear from him in hopefully pretty soon.
Has he entered the digital world?
Yeah.
Is it like Digimon or
well,
something like
the
that?
real world today.
He'll become a VTuber and then be able to meet them.
Well, the real world today kind of had its thing as well. I guess we'll start to go through some of that in the next little bit. 2 years in a row, we've had some pretty cold ones. Rather cold Anime Norths. Last year, we didn't think it could get any cooler. I think we topped that. And then some.
I don't know if it was colder, but it was some other things.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't feel cooler, Mike, even last night before the rain started, like in the morning. But I can say it was a very fine English day, and I think what topped it was not the rain, the drizzle, or the mist, or the fog. It was the wind that added that extra oomph.
Yeah, no kidding. And it's... Well, when they said 100%, I didn't think 100% chance for basically 100% of the day. This has been the story. That's probably the big story overall at Anime North Day 2.
So you're saying that of all the Anime North, this was the cosplay test day of all cosplay tests.
Oh yeah, in terms of
Is there like a rain jacket or something like that you can put over a costume while still being outside and keeping it safe?
Yeah. Well, what do you think is the over-under on percentages of umbrellas that broke today because of that wind?
A lot. And I'm sure a lot of things were flying around. Hats, umbrellas. Mine went up and down a few times, but I saved it.
Well, my umbrella's still there, but it upturned more than a couple times.
The durability was tested for many, I would say.
And many failed. I know my friend... her umbrella basically had a snapped rib, and we kept seeing a lot of umbrella remains on the ground for much of the day.
Mm-hmm. So that's why they don't give lifetime warranties on those, do they?
Well, mine had long expired, I think. So, as I said, this was a wet one. Just about every outdoor event today in the parking lots here around the compound were for all intents and purposes, canceled.
Some were moved, like I know some of the photo shoots, they found areas, I think either in the North Building or elsewhere, you know what I mean, to get some of those photo shoots going again. Maybe they were smaller, you know what I mean, but they did try to find ways, or they moved things around. I know TruckCon, that one rave, that would have been tonight, was moved to the Friday and stuff like that, you know what I mean, when it wasn't raining last night.
Well, somebody just closed the door. I don't mind keeping the door open, to be quite honest. So,
you mean we're now trapped in here, Mike?
I think
there's a way out.
I think they just wanted to be polite. Like
it's okay.
Most panels do have the closed doors.
Yeah. Well, I always like to keep an open door policy here.
Well, it is open doors Toronto this weekend, isn't it? At some of the places.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
For what it's worth, we can hear you better.
Oh, well, you guys can hear us better in here. There are about almost half a dozen people in the room, all mainly friends, let's be honest. So, and two we haven't yet met. Hello. Hello. Just once again to reintroduce at least to the two who are in here. This is we are the official podcast of Anime North. I haven't always been sure of that, but I'm gonna tell a story a little later. I think that may make me feel a little different about that right now. I hope Norm can at least clarify for me when he comes in a bit later. Should he come in a bit later? Okay, so I know I'm tempted to want to do anything deep concerning the observations of day 2. This time around, I don't want to go too much, except for maybe one thing. We'll get to that a bit later. So any panels of real interest, I'd like to save that for maybe our recap episodes, and recap Space Eaters and what have you.
Quick question. So you said there was a storm today.
So.
Did anything explode like a transformer? I know back in Montreal, something blew up and everything exploded. But you guys managed it very well.
Well, here, okay, and just one of our two new audience members just asked about the storms. Any storms here? Just constant rain and a lot of wind today, and that I think really noticed for everybody. There were literally moments when you felt like you were going to get blown away. I think
the worst thing from a convention level is that there was some minor leaking in the artist alley. Thankfully, nothing there have been horror stories online of floods and leaks where you could actually see water pouring right onto artist tables. It was nothing like that here. From what I could tell, it was a few isolated drips, and they were right over where the people were walking. I don't think they were over any of the artist's actual work. So it did rain enough for that to have an impact, but I think the wind was the biggest. It was a combination of the wind and the rain. I think one or the other would have been fine, but
when you have it all
having
together,
both, it just meant that I had a friend, another panelist who she had to just go and change and borrow extra pants just because the wind was blowing water onto people's clothes. I am thankful I had hiking shoes or hiking boots that I use for bird watching and frog watching that happened to be in my car, and without them I don't know how I would have left the Delta today, because my shoes were soaked just going to my car to get my umbrella.
Oh boy.
So it was.
And then some of the grass, because people like to use the grass.
I didn't even
kind
try
of been
to
torn
get
up.
onto the grass.
Yeah, actually, when Kevin and I were coming back from from the things we were seeing across the street from TCC, we decided to cut through the grass just for a second, and you have a good evening. You decided to cut through the grass, and yeah, it's worn down a little bit. It's gotten quite muddy, to be quite honest with you.
Because consistent rain and all that.
I should have given them the card. Oh well. Yeah, and the grass is wearing down. You're getting to the mud down there, and I think Kevin got his a bit muddied up.
And I guess the other thing that's interesting, as we say, is that more people have to be inside. So it's the interesting thing of I didn't feel it, but I do wonder, how did you think even in Artist Alley there, Amy, about, did you feel it got even more congested? Because more people, because it felt like that at times when I was in certain parts of TCC South.
Yeah,
to say, for example,
I
not
know,
so much in the north, but I know what you mean.
I know Mike, for whatever reason, doesn't want to do week or day 2 reports, but I do think that the weather led to a lot of cascading changes and differences as far as usual.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, when I say too many reports,
I'm gonna give a report right now. Sorry.
I was referring to panels though, but yeah.
Well, I can talk about panels later on, but because I think that the weather, if that is sort of the key takeaway from today, it forced everyone inside, which meant, especially at the TCC, at least the TCC South, it was even more crowded than usual. So like the artist alley, like I managed to get through it all. I barely got to the dealer's room and then had to leave, just from being overwhelmed. But it was kind of a mess. Like it is like there was like it's still like the larger aisles. So a few years ago that was enhanced, which is great. And that's continued. But I think that because everyone was in a smaller space, it just made for a lot of congestion going in different directions. I do think as far as panelists go, though, like it meant that a lot of panelists got to have maybe more people or different people than they might normally get, which was kind of good, cool.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. There are probably some good things to come as well. You know what I mean? Maybe in the Delta or in certain panel rooms, as you said, because more people might take a seat and maybe they'll listen and enjoy something and come back next year, right? Or see a different panel.
Or come back
next
year anyway.
There's a lot to do, as we always say at Anime North, right?
There is.
And there are even surprise panels this morning.
Well, okay, that's, I guess, another takeaway from the weekend so far. To your point on the crowds indoors, yeah, I could feel that just walking through the area myself initially today. It really did, like, 40K, that's the number that was projected from last year, and we might be in, who knows, 35 to 40 again this year.
I think it's going to be hard to tell, though, because usually the amount of people is dispersed, and this year there's pretty much no one outside. The one, like, if I really hope that the overpriced lemonade stand, like, I hope it just, that was the key, like, point, that if this particular overpriced lemonade stand fails, they have to scrap that whole business. Because they were not making any money today.
Yeah, I don't know if any food truck was. That's the
I'm
thing.
sure, no, some of them were. I did
Just
walk
not the
by.
Maybe some hot stuff.
Yeah,
definitely not the ice cream truck. You don't think ice cream in this weather is what people want?
I think fries and the shawarma, like, they probably did okay, but all the cold stuff, I think, were not having the day they maybe hoped.
Yeah.
Starbucks probably would have been okay because they were serving hot
always
drinks.
They're always, that's Starbucks. That's Tim Hortons, too, sometimes.
Or those other places.
Ginkgo is fine because they're right here.
They're in the building, and
And they can
I've had them.
overcharge for everything, and people still buy them. Because at least it's, like, I mean, as far as, like, the donut that I showed, like, you know, it's Japanese import, so, like, that's cool. And their, like, homemade food is, like, relatively good for, you know, convention, like, oh, here, it's right there. It's pretty good quality for mass-produced, like, we need to make this food constantly for thousands of people. Considering that, the quality is quite good.
Well, I mean, I had something at Ginkgo, so I wouldn't pass out today, while we're taping, for that matter. And once again, let's talk. I just want to bring up the parking just in passing, and back to your what you talked about last night, James.
Okay.
Word has come out. Yes, the parallel parks, the illegal parallel parks, are all in that driveway between north and south at the TCC. Yeah, they have started ticketing, and the tickets are worth more than a selfie with Messi.
Wow, so more than $65.
It got over 100.
Wow.
From word is it could be getting over 100, but yeah, and then that's probably
and that's why I'm saying
Norm is in the
obviously.
room, so we're going to talk with him a bit later on.
But yeah, if it's fire that type of thing, trust me, they will charge you a lot and stuff like that. But I know they talked about parking; they wanted to get the fines higher, right? So,
And it's a fire route. That's what Norm just said.
hopefully,
so.
as they say, lesson learned, right?
Who knows? Who really knows?
Yeah, Norm should.
New
I
people for
like to
next
hope.
year.
What panels did you see today? What panels did you see?
I went to see the Anime X Law or Anime and Law panel. Before that, I went to the Kimono Fabric Bow Workshop, which was quite good. It ran rather quickly, but, you know, really educational, and like got a cool bow out of it. And then for the, I guess, first time seeing the entire thing, I went to the Black Folks Like Anime 2 Panel, I saw the last 10 minutes last year, and it made me want to see the rest of it.
Lawrence, I know, had a lot of great things to say every year he's seen it. You know what I mean?
And I mentioned last night, since we're on the topic of Honoka being here, and she's the Japanese voice behind Wagori. Her English voice, Biju Van, I believe her name is. She's black.
I looked online. I think it's been going since 2008, so it's a pretty, it's been around for a while.
Yeah. So there's that. James, what panels did you check out today?
I was on my feet a lot of the day in the North TCC and the South TCC. I didn't get to see Victor Lucas. He wasn't around this morning, but I did see a few other things there. And then I think I had some interest with you in the afternoon that we may talk about later on with the fun crowds.
Yes.
And then that I guess was a highlight in some ways. And then we both went to Anime by the Numbers, that panel by Miles stuff.
I don't want to get too deep into that one because Miles can speak for himself on this.
And if you do what was it? His Substack, and I believe it is Anime by the Numbers for the Substack. If you follow that, you'll get an idea of what the panel was about, looking at Anime by the Numbers. And it's hard to look at it because, as he said, it's like there's so many ways so you kind of have to hedge your bets in that. But the other thing was, another thing if you want to look at to get an idea for the panel, I know Jesse Betteridge for Zan in Canada, one of his last podcast episodes was with Miles and stuff like that, and it was kind of Anime by the Numbers, and also kind of looking at the Canadian side.
Can you clarify what by the numbers means in this context?
Kind of like business of anime and
a really
business
true
numbers.
business, and he's a data hound.
And that's why
it's a very
at
hard
Crunchyroll.
analytics.
So remember when Crunchyroll, for example, Amy was doing that thing of this was the popular anime by season by the state and stuff like that, and then he expanded it to different countries, and then we even had by Canada the provinces and territories.
Cool.
And he's like, it's silly to look at none of it Northwest Territories and Yukon, but it's thinking that one
I don't know if
person.
it's silly. That's interesting.
But you know what I mean? It's looking at those numbers that are so low data and thinking about, okay, maybe there's someone up there at Up and Alert stuff there on Ellesmere Island watching something, and they're one of the ones that got that number.
And I'm also wondering, is it someone who is born and raised there, or is it someone who is like an English teacher or teaching at an educational institute up there?
I hate to tell you on that one is that there are no natives for that population because that's North Ellesmere Island, and what that is for weather stations.
Oh, I just meant in general,
but the other ones,
northern community. I'm
but
curious.
the other
I'd be curious.
It'd be interesting at Callaway because that could be a mix of, as you say, people coming in, teachers, and then native population.
Isn't there a big workshop up there?
Is there?
A big workshop. Is there
a big workshop?
I know there is one over there. They have so many things. And then the other thing, I remember I watched a thing about that with.
Run by a guy in a red suit?
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
I remember he visits there from time to time. Yes.
Run by a guy in a red suit. Thanks, Norm.
What was it? Was it Pierre Elliott Trudeau? Remember he took
yeah,
Justin Trudeau, and then they brought Santa. There was that story. Butler. It was funny. That was in the 70s.
Just quickly, I just wanted to welcome Kevin to the table. Glad you can finally make it. Hope you found what you were looking for among the VTubers.
I just finished our meet and greet with Koki, who I'll say, I don't like to use the word Oshi because I always think to Perfect Blue when I think of when people really, whether the kids say standing now, when you stand your favorite performer or talent and then it just gives me those possessive, obsessive vibes. So I don't like to use the word. I don't tell people how they. I don't if people want to use the word Oshi, that's cool. I'll say nothing. I don't like to use it, but she's my favorite streamer. So her panel, her meet and greet was from 9:30 to 10:30. So, and Koki was gracious enough to go a bit overtime, and some of us in her chat just came in and we did an extra round too. So that's why it took longer than I expected.
I'm just glad you can make it though.
So we were going over panels. Was there any others? I think you visited a few other VTubers, maybe, correct? Or am I wrong?
So I am a fan of 3AM. So when Anime North announced 3AM as formal guests, I was elated because they are my favorite group of VTubers right now. And so I did see Cali Calico earlier in the evening. So that's why I had to dip out of Miles' panel for about half an hour. So I did my meet and greet with Cali. And I met, well, not meet Callie, but I also got introduced to Callie the same time I got introduced to Koki and Meat. So they've been guests here before in the past, not formally through Anime North, but through Moso Box 2 years ago, because Moso Box also runs VTuber meet and greets at their booth in the vendors hall.
Yeah, and you were saying like they've been running it from the first part of TCC South, like Cohen Ballroom, and then they have another smaller room where they do the meet and greets, because I know some other cons, you're kind of in a more open area, but is it better, do you think, like being in that, you know what I mean, more room area and stuff like that?
It's kind of funny because I'm used to being in the crowds doing those meet and greets.
Because I feel like sometimes I see in like open area and you see crowds going around, right? So is it harder when you have like noise in the background? That's what I'm thinking.
It can be. I think for me, I won't say weirded out, but it just felt strange being in a largely empty room. I just wasn't accustomed to it.
It sounds more intimate.
Yes.
That's what I was wondering. Like, is it intimacy, you know what I mean? Or more, I don't know.
I'd say it's a little more intimate because it's just yourself and the person running the room. And you know, I do participate in chat for Callie and Koki. Like, Callie is a little easier for me. Koki is a little tougher for me, if only because even though I've talked to him before and I talked in the chat, there is a little bit of that starstruck moment where I couldn't help myself. Like, you think you have stuff prepared to say, and then you just kind of just blank out sometimes.
I'm getting the image of like going to see royalty, like walking up like a red carpet and going to like the throne and you know, having your offering of good tidings and fealty to whatever, you know, people, leaders that you're talking to, especially when you have that smaller room. Like, it kind of feels like, you know, I've it sounds weird, but like I've when I spoke to that princess years ago, it was more of like a formal, like it was a room about this size, but there were other guests there, right? Like, it wasn't like that kind of walking up and talking to one person that like almost like an average voice actor guest sometimes is here. If you go and see one that maybe doesn't have a line, it's this weird kind of walking up the aisle. I remember one of the first guests I met at Anime North was the late, gosh, I forget his name, the English voice actor for Speed Racer. But because...
Peter Fernandez?
Fernandez, yeah. But because, you know, Anime North has always skewed younger, there wasn't any lineup. So it felt like a little bit awkward for me going up, because there's this huge long line, and you know, you can see them looking at you as you're going up. It's a little bit awkward and intimidating. But yeah, it's the meet and greets for VTubers, as I was I guess discussing with you yesterday off mic. It's such an interesting new thing that's popped up in the last couple of years.
I think for me too, I wasn't, the real starstruck moment I remember in the past was like when I would talk to like musical performers. Like, I remember like getting Kodako's autograph all those years ago at my very first Anime North. Like, that was a starstruck moment for me. Also, I'm trying to think who else. Inio Asano when he went to TCAF. That was a bit of a starstruck moment for me. It's a little easier with VTubers because I know in the end I shouldn't say normal people. Everyone's, but you know, they're like, you can connect with them more, right? They don't feel so out of reach, for lack of better phrasing. But sometimes it just happens.
Well, I mean, I always stated I have a lot of respect for the VTuber world, even though I know very, very little about it. You hear all those little headline stories about some of the not so great things that happen with it. So then so it can be this is, I guess, still a side of our of the industry and the entertainment that we're still trying to feel our way through. So, but as somebody who just does regular streaming, right, and just streams regular video games, I mean, regardless, the work I know that's put in the background and they put in every time they do this, that's a lot. I have trouble just doing a regular stream myself. A lot
As
of
they
time.
say, people still have trouble with that, with copyright and all the other things
Among
with
that,
video
and
games.
then just the grind
but
of
then there's
doing
the
this.
other thing of, remember many moons ago, Mike, when people are like, and we heard the chatter of, who's going to watch another person play a video game online?
I guess times have changed a little bit.
And
So-
but technology will change too, right? Like now I see people, and I don't follow any VTubers specifically, but I just find the technology and the sort of culture, like the cultural shift behind it, really interesting. I've seen VTubers who have sensors all over their body, so they can have full body like VTube models, and then like others that are like tracking just parts of the face, and with the upcoming Star Fox game, how they connected that with the even like the little cameras you can
game
hook
chat,
up to the Switch 2. And of course, people have been doing this kind of thing with phones for a while, and I'm wondering, like, will the technology be such in a few years that, this form of communication and like VTubing, we'll just call it, will be more accessible in the future? Because right now VTube models like do either cost a lot of education and hours to create, or several $100s at minimum to have a fully articulated one, even just the chest and face. It's fascinating, even though I'm not really,
And the
I don't
different
go to the school.
different accessories and the rigging and all that. Yeah, you hear about it.
It's just mind-boggling to me at my age, right?
We're living in the future now, Mike. You know that, right?
Well, it's always we can use the old cliches. The future is now, I guess. But sometimes, admittedly, you get a little dizzy. Okay, so I guess I'll just go through what I did. Anime by the numbers. Yeah, we already mentioned that.
Yep. Oh yeah, I was there for the first bit of that.
And
yeah.
Kevin was there too.
Yep. It's good to see Miles as an official guest too. Actually.
It is, and it was good to talk to him actually afterwards. And
That's
we talked with
good.
Tristan as well, just briefly, and some of their assistants. I actually had a nice conversation with the Yen Presser representative after all.
Yeah,
that,
Mark
too.
actually made it up because I talked to him briefly with Will.
It wasn't.
earlier in
It
the
wasn't
day.
Mark. It wasn't Mark actually. I was talking with. It was.
Who'd you talk with?
I talked with. And I have her card.
Yeah, because I saw Mark
talked
at the
with Ren.
dealer's room.
talked
I
with
did say
Ren,
hello.
So I
Oh,
talked
okay,
when
yeah.
he-
I actually was not expecting Mark to show up, so that was
But
nice
it was
to be introduced to him.
cool to just talk to them and just pick their brain for, even if it was just for a minute there.
Yeah, because I asked Mark about cover exclusives and how that works into their decisions, and then for Yen Press, he told me he admits that they do have higher minimum buys in order for that to even be a possibility. So that's why Kinokuniya is their usual partner for that, because Kinokuniya in the States is more willing to do those, to meet those minimum buys.
Kinokuniya, like, you're up here, like, no, obviously it's not they're not here in Canada. I've been to Kinokuniya once, and that's the story behind one of the books I
I
have.
want them to ship to Canada. They won't ship to Canada.
Anyway.
I have to go to the States to
They
buy
have,
like
they have
those covers.
physical stores in the States?
Yes.
do.
Yes,
Oh,
they do.
So in
interesting.
New York,
LA,
LA, and then
area.
there's a couple in the LA suburbs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And a couple in the New York suburbs. So basically the big cities, yes. I think in Seattle too.
Aside from going from the dealer's room and touching base there. And the last thing probably worth mentioning is I did see Honoka and Kikoku Inoue.
Yeah, you saw Kikuko? Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
they had their mother basically talking about being in the industry as a mother and daughter. That wasn't really a Q&A. It was just a discussion with a little chat with their interpreter.
Chat
But
was civil though. Like I'm sorry.
was nice.
Like
It was
everyone
nice.
was civil. That's good.
Oh yeah, it was nice.
That's good.
But that doesn't. The problem is that isn't the big story concerning those two today. At least from many of us who are keeping up.
Oh, we're talking about this? Okay.
Just for a couple minutes. I mean, there's no. I mean, yeah, the autographs. I think concerning that, I know will be a lot of talk to people who, especially since we were all looking forward to seeing them. When the announcement was made 6 weeks ago, everybody, a lot of people were certainly excited. It would be both their first appearances in Canada. Kikuko arguably is a top 10 over the last 30 years in the field.
She'd certainly be in that debate, yes.
Yes, I think so. And Honoka is certainly making her case for this generation. So we knew there would be a lot of excitement. So what happened? The autograph line was certainly quite an adventure today. So, I remember we talked about what happened at Anime Revolution with Sumeru Uesaka, and how that had it just got so long and we never got a chance.
But that was the line, and there were people watching us and stuff like that. And
this one had,
I guess we thought we knew the guardrails. Where I know in the book and stuff like that, and from what we saw, it said, please, if the earliest you should arrive is 30 minutes before the signing and stuff like that. Check the guidebook. You know what I mean? To make sure, because things can change. We understand that, and we understand with the weather, things happen, right? And so we were all, I guess, prepared and stuff like that. And obviously more people inside because of the weather, as we said, Mike. But it did look like right in front of the autograph section, stuff like that, they had, what was it, an ATM, and then they had a chill area, I believe, right?
Yes.
But it looks like quite a few people kind of showed up, didn't they, before the autographs, didn't it look? And then what did we see, Mike? It looked like a blob of people from what I could see. It looked like a blob of
people at the point where you actually started to enter the autograph area.
There's only so much, humans can do, though, right?
Yeah,
because if you have this thing that says please only come 30 minutes before the signing, they're going to have a cloud of people an hour before waiting for that 30 minutes,
I'm
waiting
for Dude,
that,
I'm guilty
right?
of it today.
Everyone would be, but Anime North, they only have so many staff, they can't tell people not to, vulture and linger, but they also can't say, yes, please line up 3 hours beforehand, right? I don't know if it's a winnable situation. I have a lot of sympathy. I'm not trying to...
There's a Kobayashi Maru aspect to this.
But there was discussion, I know, with some people, because obviously other people see other conventions. There are different things other people have done with bigger guests, right? If you think they're bigger, it's should we do it the usual way? Maybe we should do something. Can we do something online? Or can we even do a lottery and stuff like that, so that if you're still disappointed, at least you had a chance and stuff like that, and then there's not going to be these people coming up, you know what I mean, trying to come before the autograph session, right?
And this is a hindsight is 2020 type scenario,
well,
right?
But darned if we do, darned if we don't, right? But it's there's some key questions, right? That's all I would say.
I think it's unfortunate that this was likely going to happen regardless. The only way you would have avoided this is if you had done a pure lottery from the start.
You could have, should have, would have. But I don't know if that's the thinking there. But
I'd rather it not be up to lottery, because that means you can't really control the outcome. It is pure luck at that point.
But then it also prevents people who can't get there, again, 3 hours early from having a chance. I don't think there is a winning and a losing scenario here. Someone, with the amount of people, Anime North is great in the sense that it does have so many people, so many different things to do, but if you have something that hundreds, thousands maybe even want to do, and there's only enough time in the lineup for 200 people, then people are going to be disappointed one way or another. Either some people are gonna not win at the lottery, or people won't be able to make it in time.
Yep.
It is what it is.
I'll say this selfishly as a fan of Kikuko Noe, because Mizuho Kazumi is still my favorite anime character, even after all these years.
Please teach her. He's a
Yeah,
police
because
teacher,
a police
yeah.
teacher.
I saw at
This
least one
was
cosplay.
like honestly, her announcement was like my dream announcement.
I think it was for a lot of people.
Yeah,
I think it was for a lot of people.
Not even shitting you, my dream announcement. Because she's been to the States a couple times. And so to hear that she came here was like, I like audibly gasped out loud in my room when I saw the announcement.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
this is where I would selfishly say I would have not wanted to be left a chance to through a lottery. I would have wanted at least some chance that I could at least somewhat maybe control.
You got something. You were able to get an autograph.
No, I
right?
don't have it. I didn't get an autograph
Oh, it was
today.
it was the others. Some others. I know a couple friends. who
Yep.
did.
So we have friends in the audience that did, and I'm happy they did because I know it was their only day. Today was their only chance to get it. So
Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
and so we have another chance tomorrow. We will see how it goes. That's all I'll say on that.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I felt bad for the people at the front. No matter how disappointed I got, and I didn't get a chance because, as I said, it's just the way that all piled up bunched up at that entrance point.
And we have a mutual friend that wanted Honoka's signature more, so that was the easier one. I hate to say it's the easier one, but it was the more attainable autograph. So
At this point, yeah.
So my friend, our mutual friend, was happy with that too.
I'm going to show. I mentioned on the stream the item I'd hoped to get signed by Kikuko, and I'm going to show it to. I'm showing it right now to the audience. I had to dig it out a couple days ago. This is on the topic of Kinokuniya because I got this at Kinokuniya, and believe it or not, at the time I got it in the mid '90s, it was already considered a used book. So this is a picture book full of '90s voices of '90s seiyuu. So they had some of the top ones at the time did photo shoots, and mainly most of the photos are in black and white. And I'm showing some of the pictures to the audience, but at the front there were a handful of colored photographs. And one of them was Kiko. So this is what I'm hoping to get signed by her tomorrow.
Would you get the cover signed or one of the actual images?
One of the actual images. And actually, if I'm able to accomplish it, she wouldn't be the first person to have signed this, because the very last year Anime North was in the Regal constellation, Hikaru Midorikawa showed up.
Oh yes.
That was in 2003, Norm is answering. So he has signed this book.
Wow. Oh, I
That's
just
cool.
missed Rico Constellation because my first Anime North was 2004, 2005.
Yeah, I think that was mine too.
So, this will be my true bucket list item for this year's Anime North, to get this to get her to sign this book.
I brought my Please Teacher Blu-ray.
I did get an autograph though. I did get an autograph. So just to end off on a more happier note.
No, we did get some autographs.
get some autographs.
From
So-
some of the
Yeah,
other
you got-
Japanese
yeah,
guys
yeah,
that were
the
industry
other
guys.
side of the
Animation
Japanese
staff,
press,
right? Yeah.
the animation staff. Yoshimatsu Takehiro. It was the character designer for the original. Like he's among other things, was also the character designer for the original Trigun series. So I brought that, and that was a little easier to have gotten signed. And once again, he isn't the first one to have signed it. In 2008, when Johnny Young Bosch was here at Anime North,
Yes.
he signed it. And he was only the second person to have signed it. Some years before that, more than 20 years ago at Fan Expo, Naitao was here,
Yeah, Yasuhiro Naito, yes.
the creator of Trigun. So he is now, that's
Show it to
now,
the crowd.
There's now two signatures on the lenticular, or on the shiny version.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
Of this. When I showed this when Yoshimatsu saw this as he signed it, his eyes kind of bugged out when he saw both signatures, especially Nighthouse, and he remarked to me, how much of a friendship they've struck up over the years. So he was more than happy. He was really got a kick out of seeing that and signing just above him. So
That's so cool.
And if you take a look, he tried to do a sketch of the cat.
Cool.
From Trigon.
No, I think that turned out pretty good considering Sharpie and
considering
smooth
Silver
surface.
Sharpie. So batting .333 for the day, and this is the last tie-in. Batting .333 is usually good in baseball terms. I noticed afterwards that Yoshimatsu Sensei, was wearing a Blue Jays cap, so I updated him on the Blue Jays game right after.
Actually, that would
Jays
be
won earlier, by the way.
I was going to say that should have been our over/under question, because remember we used to joke about how many Witch Hunter Robins we would see 20 years ago. I guess this year.
Really?
Yeah, we used to count the Witch Hunter Robins. I remember when it was like in its prime and stuff like that for I want to say a couple of years, because we saw so many.
Well, it was one of those things that like it was
know
one
how
of the
sometimes you'll
few
see-
anime that was in like Canada, and
you
like
could
not so
cosplay,
much
you know.
the States, right?
Yeah,
Like it's the same as Inuyasha, and like to a lesser extent things like Zatch Bell, and to a greater extent something like Sailor Moon. Canada just had this in a way that the U.S. didn't, and people here latched onto it.
Yeah, I'll say, because it did air on Adult Swim, but it didn't quite grab people the way that it grabbed fans in Canada. And I remember I was in grade 9, because now I'm dating myself. Witch Hunter Robin, like, and Bionics as a whole debuted, and so I watched Gundam Seed, Inuyasha, and then Witch Hunter Robin.
Take your time.
And even though like Witch Hunter Robin, people can say that it's boring because it is a dark, broody kind of show and it has more dialogue than action, so to speak. But like just the whole atmosphere and like character interactions really kind of tickled my brain in a way I didn't expect. And so almost 1 year later, the following Fan Expo, I went on a mission to find that expensive-ass Witch Hunter Robin box set that Bandai Entertainment released, and the best $160 I ever spent during that decade.
I feel like I didn't really take that long for me to find, so I must have got it before, but did you ever use the shot glasses? That's the real question. Or wear the t-shirt?
No,
Like
so I didn't buy like the traditional box, because that was the singles release, right?
Yeah, I was thinking the singles, which I have. Yeah.
I bought the compiled box set that has like the pins on the back.
Oh, okay.
And the box set is shaped like the Witch book.
Oh, that one I got you now,
Yeah.
because they did some neat ones like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, the reason actually I mentioned counting is I think I lost count by the afternoon, since you mentioned Blue Jays. The Blue Jays Naruto jerseys and stuff like that. I feel like that's the thing I was counting this
I don't
this
think
year.
I didn't, by my own personal observation, I don't think I got to 12. But then again, maybe at a point I stopped counting too.
I think I at least got to 20.
You got to 20? That was quite the promotion.
With the signature thing though, like even though I don't really do the celebrity thing anymore.
Autographs,
Like
no, not so much.
I've weirdly grown, or not, maybe not weirdly, I've grown out of that as something I'm interested in. I think if like I happen to, like, I forget the video essayist who had a surprise appearance this morning. Is it like Owen? Olsen, something Olsen, not Dave. What's his first name?
And actually, Jesse brought it up to us there earlier.
Yeah, but I love his work. But I had a workshop at the same time. But the variety of guests, I think, at Anime North this year was really strong. Like, you had the video essayists, you had the Japanese guests, you had the Japanese artists, you had the English voice actors, industry people, like maybe to a little bit of a lesser extent, like as far as like publishers and things like that. But I think the variety was very much on point this year, which was pretty cool.
In terms of appeal for
plus all the VTuber stuff,
appeal for the generations,
stuff,
for the generations
Victor
of our
Lucas
fandom.
was there.
Victor Lucas had a nice conversation
the
with him
YTV
yesterday.
host, like like they managed to hit all like the age or most of the age demographics.
Oh,
like
and I forgot to.
we had Olivia Chow.
Yeah, and Olivia Chow knew she was the warm-up act for the. So, and she probably didn't understand who they were and like the roles those two have had, but she understood what it meant to the crowd. And I thought that was it was a bit of a ramble too, but I think her and Jack Layton were real geeks in their time. And if I remember correctly, Jack Layton's passing and funeral, the state funeral at Roy Thompson Hall, which happened in August when it did. And I forgot the year he died. It might have been 2011. Don't quote, but I'll double check that. It happened, I believe it happened during Fan Expo weekend. So I think more than a few Trekkies showed up around Roy Thompson Hall at the time too, because they were known to be Star Trek fans.
When I did briefly meet Jack Layton, I think it was at like Taste of the Danforth or something like that. It's so interesting, just the connection to Olivia Chow is, he asked like, oh, what do I do basically? And, saying, oh, I'm in university for art, or I'm an art teacher, whatever I would have been at the time. And he was just so excited to talk about how his wife was an artist as well.
And how she talked about...
And that's what he wanted to talk about. Like, even though he was there with, like, the NDP banner and everything, he was just so excited to mention that his wife was also an artist.
Which makes me think what Olivia Chow said about art.
He left us too soon.
Yeah, about art and artists and its importance. She wasn't faking that.
She gave another like address at the Singing Out concert, which is the queer choir that sells out shows like every time they have performances. And there was an earnesty there to her connection to the arts. So I think like, some other politicians being here might be a little bit more performative. Like, there's always going to be an aspect of that. But I mean, I didn't hear what she said, but I would believe, in
I've had a personal conversation with her at Luminata. So back in 24. Nice. It was just it made my night, let's just say. Okay.
Wait,
how much do we... Huh?
Wait, did you go to the YTV Retro panel? Is that what you said earlier?
No, I saw it, but it was full.
Oh, okay. I was wondering who ended up showing up. That's why. Like, I would assume...
AJ and
Oh, AJ was there too.
Yeah.
That
Anyway.
Nice.
sounds like the newer generation views. You think of the generations, I guess I'd be
maybe
the
the
older
girl who did
generation.
the tire swing. Is she here? No, yeah, on the Saturday morning host.
Oh, I'm not so good with the Saturday morning host,
I'm
I'll be
not that
honest.
generation, I'm not.
Anyway, we should start moving on because we're about 50 minutes in. Do we really want to talk about the everything concerning the Crunchyroll Anime Awards, the discussion we had, or are we okay doing
Mo
still?
probably wants us to know that who won.
Well, I mean, it's
I probably
online.
want to know who we should protect of all those people in that one category.
Yeah, the annual Anya Award did go to
Annual Anyo, yeah, it's true.
So you're saying we can't do that on like one of those gambling sites to say we think this will win and then make a lot of
don't let me stop you, James.
Don't get me started on prediction sites. Anyway,
Okay, so who did win? I actually don't know. 'Cause
well,
I don't always pay attention to that stuff.
Okay, so I'll go through at least just some noteworthies.
So, Anime of the Year, I know we talked about Mike,
Anime
and
of
that
the
was
Year,
the
it was
final season
of
of
My Hero
Academia.
My Hero Academia, okay.
Film of the Year, Demon Slayer, Infinity Castle. Best continuing series is One Piece.
Of course, it's always
I
gonna be
won't go through
it's
all
always
the
gonna be
list.
One Piece.
Yeah, I won't go through all of the list. But the one thing that did stick out in terms of individual performances in various languages,
the
one thing that stuck out is multiple actors from different languages kept winning for the role of Akaza from the Demon Slayer. From Demon
he's a
Slayer.
great character.
So,
in Demon
like, I
Slayer.
think
he
3
really
or
is.
4 different actors won for that role in different languages.
Which is interesting to
that's
see, yeah.
That's the takeaway I got from
He's
it.
like the Kenpachi. If anyone watches Bleach, he's like the Kenpachi is how I see him. Like he's just like super strong, and like there's a backstory, and like just pure adrenaline, pure violence.
Yeah.
Like just like a good foil character.
I guess it was
So,
Kenpachi, I see him as something else more.
yeah.
What are you thinking?
And somebody's speaking in the audience here.
Who are you
So.
thinking?
Like a Gara type of guy.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Because at first he was all peaceful and he wants to protect somebody, but when he loses everything, he turns to violence. And then once he turns to violence, that's when he gets his. That's where he's at his state of being.
You think there's going to be an awkward silence in the recording, or does this?
I like that comparison. Yeah, like
Well-
it's true with Gar. That's right, because you're saying how
Sorry,
Gara was
yeah,
like Gara was more quiet, and then external things outside of his control forced him. Yeah, I get that.
But that's
I get that.
that's the awards.
There were some other ones I know. Like it was interesting. Best original anime, Lazarus won, and that's one we talked about last year, and that was
from Adult Swim. Yes.
Yep.
I guess Digimon got robbed.
And then best new series was Gachikuta. Remember we had talked
Gachiakuta? Okay, yeah.
Gachikuta.
Yeah.
A lot
And
of
yet-
high school students are really into that.
Yeah, it's,
And I know the artist like has had trouble on Twitter with fans and that, but hopefully it's like you know what I mean. She knows she's creating
Fans have
something
been
that's touched people.
awful lately. Like, just
And that's
in
the
general.
only, and that's the
Yeah.
only thing I feel bad about is that she's created this great work. It's touched so many people, and then I hear about this stuff online. That's the only thing. So hopefully something good can come of that. You know what I mean?
I'm
That's
happy
what
a Kodansha title is like getting some good attention because it's almost always just a Shueisha Shonen Jump title or a Shogakukan. So
Yeah.
good on
And then,
Kodansha. They have a good hit on their hands.
Apothecary Diaries is, as we talked about in
Yeah.
Anime by the Numbers, is still doing well. Best drama.
Yeah.
And,
Anyway.
and best romance was Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, which, as you said, you have enjoyed, right?
I've
Mike?
enjoyed it. Although Blue Box was also nominated, and if you know that I'm a fan of that show.
What, for best movie, what were the nominees?
One more time.
Because I know you said Demon Slayer Infinity
Demon Slayer
Castle.
did win.
Man was one of them.
Chainsaw Man was one of them. Yes.
Okay, no, you know what? I would have picked Chainsaw Man.
And
Hands down, would have picked. No,
No, but they're-
cinematically, I think Chainsaw Man's like just the way it was shot. I resonated with that more.
yeah, so 100 meters, Mononoke the movie Chapter 2,
Oh,
Rose of
okay.
Versailles, and Scarlet were the other nominees.
Oh.
And aside from the winner and Chainsaw Man.
Actually, it was funny, Mike. Remember we had the discussion about best slice of life, what makes a slice of life and stuff like that. Remember we talked about all those ones. So Spy Family Season 3 won best slice of life.
That's not okay. Okay, sometimes it is, but I would not define Spy Family as a slice of life.
It's a comedy, right?
Yeah, it's shonen, it's comedy and stuff like that. Yeah, there's that slice of life element. I don't think any of us would deny it. It's just interesting how it won that category.
I like the Lloyd backstory arc this season. Like I thought that was fun.
Like,
Like-
it was interesting. Like you had Fragrant Flower was in there, Dress Up Darling Season 2, City, the animation,
Okay, City,
Blue
City's-
Box, which is interesting. And then Anne Shirley. Of all of them, I would think maybe Anne Shirley
Yeah.
would be a better
yeah, that's
bet,
an
right?
actual
Like-
slice of
Like Gintama
life.
is more of a slice of life than Spy Family is, and like it really is because like Gintama is functionally a comedy, but it really is just people living their lives, and like they have the occasional plot episode or plot arc, but like by and large, just people living their lives, but it's done through a comedic lens.
Anyway, so there's the
The Coles Notes version.
Notes
And
version.
it was interesting because, as we said, it's now happening, it seems, every year, basically, during Anime North weekend, it seems like, right? From what we've seen.
Yeah.
And then, we're going to talk about the one thing, but maybe another time, but it's interesting how that all comes together with the Crunchyroll Anime Awards, right?
Do we want to go
And
there at
it's-
the moment? Like,
Well, like,
I mean,
But it's
we've
interesting, like you
talked
think
a lot
about it,
already.
and then remember what month they're all trying to say this is.
It's
Anime.
anime, yes.
Wait, did you guys see the Answer Man article that talked about the Anime Awards? Did you guys read that article? That was a very good article about the Anime Awards.
And that's what we were going to talk about and stuff like that.
I guess we have time.
From listening, because I did listen, as you suggested, listen to the Space Heater when I was getting ready this morning. And the main thing that came to mind was, like, I don't know if Japan does award shows.
This is probably
like they do like the red and white thing, but like that's more of a competition. Like
that's more of a variety show.
Yeah, I think award shows are a very American and maybe by extension Canadian thing. Like
maybe a Western thing.
Yeah, like I don't think Japan is like big on like let's do red carpet. Congratulations, you're the best.
So could we be talking about a cultural thing?
But it's interesting some of the different things, right? That could be
this was the
good
upshot
from it, right?
And this is the upshot of the Answer Man.
But
questions.
It's interesting too as well because what Amy just mentioned, right? When we think of award shows, we're probably thinking, and he talked about, right, the Oscars,
the Grammys,
all the
Emmys.
other things, all those type of
Canadian
ones.
Screen
and they're
Awards,
going down in viewership. And then we look at new age, right? The new generation. They're trying to get those eyeballs from 18 to 34, whatever demographics they're looking at. And the one comparison, and we've seen it before, people have talked about before, Jeff Keighley in the Game Awards. You can love him or hate him and all that other stuff, but he's growing that thing, and we saw the numbers in here. I think 171 million stream ceiling is one of the things they mentioned for the Game Awards and stuff like that, and that's something that they could achieve maybe with the Anime Awards and stuff like that because of the overlap in their audiences and stuff like that and how they want to do it. Now, I'm not saying it should become advertisements galore and stuff like that, but some people have taken it seriously enough, and there is some seriousness to the Game Awards, even though, there's ads plastered everywhere.
Well,
so it's...
Question about the Anime Awards. Is there an award for Best Animator?
No.
Oh, what about character designer?
Yeah, but we only talk
What
about
about background
titles
painter?
Yeah, no,
What
then
about-
now we start to get
And that's what
No,
they
but
said,
this is-
and that's a thing too, is we talk about...
What is anime short form?
We talk
No,
about
but now
the
we're
end,
talk-
the
now
end
we're
of
starting to get interesting.
the end, right? And that was, look how many awards there were and how many we talked about. And he said those tough questions of, there should be less awards and it should be more focused. And it should be maybe more focused to what Amy is kind of talking about, and that you have that for the critical voting, right? Because it's critical and fan voting we do now, right?
And
for
the fan voting is where we can
Yep.
have like the Anya Award or the award
That's what I'm
where
saying. You
like
could have different-
Eren Yeager is the best protagonist and antagonist in the same year. Like,
and you could have some fan awards
Yeah,
like that. You know
that
what I mean?
kind of
So you can have a
thing.
kind of a bit of both worlds. You know what I mean? And that was kind of a discussion there too, right? And a lot of it, when they talked earlier about the voting and stuff like that, they talk about engagement, but who's engaging? Their actual subscribers to Crunchyroll and stuff like that. It's no one outside their own ecosystem. Just like we talked about anime and all these other things. It's all within that ecosystem, and it's not the Anime Awards, it's the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. And then it was that thing of, why not take Crunchyroll out of it? Step back, maybe say
or more specifically
presented
Sony.
by
Or more
Crunchyroll,
broadly, Sony.
get that.
I feel like YTV must have done an anime before. Like, I feel like that could be something
I feel like
YTV
they
would
did
have.
too.
But
Yeah.
remember what they said, like they talked about the positives, right? So yes, it was 10 years for the Anime Awards. Yes, it was done in California, and then when Sony took over, I guess we can give them a bit of credit here. They took it to Japan and stuff like that. And the funny thing was, the first year, they did have like the stream. One of the options was Japanese, right? And year after, no longer there, right? So even the Japanese can't watch this award show, even if they wanted to. You know what I mean?
That is so bizarre to me.
There's a lot of bizarreness.
So basically,
about
Japanese
that.
was taken out that year, and what was that? Hindi and stuff like that. So, and that's nothing against adding new languages and stuff like that. It's just, you know what I mean? They're growing in other areas, and what
And-
this award show is about, right?
Yeah, well, what is it about? Right?
And where we could maybe take it about what we just talked about, right?
And you're wondering, Sony Sony uses it as Sony and Crunchyroll use it as a vehicle for themselves too.
Yes.
That's a big part of and that's probably a big part of where a lot of the questions concerning the legitimacy of the anime awards come up. And I'm sorry, the Crunchyroll Anime Awards start to come up. And like you just mentioned, let's go to the Japan angle for a couple seconds. Who, and by all accounts, and if you're to believe the Answer Man article, and generally I do.
Yeah, Jerome knows his stuff.
He does. Mm-hmm. And there just doesn't seem to be a real awareness, or what he would call a polite eye roll concerning this.
Mm-hmm, because they're saying, who is there? Who's doing the presenting and stuff like that? Who's doing the voting? Like we saw all the people on the critical side voting, and some of them are great people, but then some of them are saying, well, maybe we should have some people from the actual industry or from the Japanese side, you know what I mean, voting on some of these awards, or create those categories like Amy said, right? And have you talking and celebrating your peers. And I know that would be a tough thing to do, especially in Japan, right?
Yeah, and part of it is also just the list of celebrities. I mean, you get influencers and BC listers. How many would really know? Or maybe American celebrities? This is
Didn't Megan Thee Stallion go one year?
well,
And we've seen it
She's
even
reportedly a
yeah,
big anime
I don't
fan.
and we've seen even in Crunchyroll, they've done it with the store, right? With the Crunchyroll store, where they do these weird promotions and stuff like that with different celebrities from the US, whether it's NFL or music and stuff like that. And it's interesting. It's very different from how it was in our time, and it's great. There's more eyes and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know how you, like, does that take away from the uniqueness of what we love about this art, right? Which is that Japanese aspect. And do you lose that with some of this, right? Mm-hmm. And do we want to, what are we trying to celebrate? We're trying to celebrate this great art form and its uniqueness and the creators that are there, right?
But this is where it starts to get interesting. Like, once again, the legitimacy. And right now it is controlled by Crunchyroll. But maybe the one thing that could, there's this argument that the one thing that could give this real legitimacy is for Crunchyroll to, is probably the most counterintuitive thing Crunchyroll can do with it, which is take out some of their own, become more neutral and maybe less controlled. Mm-hmm. So this is all the whole to and fro that the CR Anime Awards had. I know we can talk like. Oh, I'm just going to also state, just as a quick thing, I just noticed. It's okay if I mention William Wu is now inside in the audience, and he was a member of the jury, of the judge panel for this year's awards. And at a point, I think in the near future, hopefully we can talk a little bit more about the experience with William and some of what he was thinking as he went through the process and making his choices. It was for reference, it was a 70-30 weighting concerning jury and fan vote.
Yeah,
So
70 for
jury?
70 for jury.
70 for
Okay.
jury and 30 for fan, and they had that because of Yuri on Ice.
The Yuri on Ice controversy in 2017, stuff in the ballot
and
box.
that was because I guess there was an issue with the fan voting, so they had to fix it, and that's why we had that discussion, and they had that discussion. The answer
What
man,
did-
calling from Jerome, talking about
so-
is there a way to have more critical awards and then still have a few fan awards that they
Yeah.
can vote for and feel, you know what I mean?
That's how
Empowered
I
and
would see
feel
it,
like
too.
that they
So
have.
there's some of that. And then going back to the Game Awards too. It is a celebration of the art, and maybe it's also a celebration of what's to come. The Game Awards was also known as a significant, like a marketing, at times a marketing thing. So you guys often saw a lot of previews.
And we still do and stuff like that. But there is this thing, because remember, E3 is no longer a thing. So people have rallied behind the Game Awards, but they've also rallied behind the idea that some of the awards mean something, right? To some of these people.
Anyway, so You wonder. I mean, you do wonder. And once again, let's go back to the idea: there isn't really a gala. There isn't really a set number of awards that Japan would recognize in terms of the industry, like internally. I mean, domestically. Internally didn't sound like the right word to use. So
You mean they wouldn't recognize the Anya Award?
how much of the awards did they recognize? Right? I mean, there might be there seems to be some segments there in the
I'm
Japanese
sure they would
domestic
just
industry
kind
that
of
sees it
look
as a
at
gimmick.
it as like, oh, here's what some Americans think about anime. Like,
That comes back to, and the way when you put it in those terms,
Yeah.
we start to come back to that ongoing discussion we've had for much of the year after Hideki Anno's comments too, right?
I'm sure not all of them, but like I feel that
Like,
if you ask like a random person on the street, like, oh, here's this, I guess technically Japanese owned but American, anime distributor. They had an award show. Here's some information about it. Like, I'm sure some would be interested. Like, when I say that, like, I'm not meaning to be dismissive. Like, I think some people would be really interested. Like, oh, here's what the foreign population thinks about anime. Oh, here's who the Brazilian Portuguese like favorite voice actor is. That's kind of cool. Like, I'm sure there are people who find that interesting in Japan, but like, I don't think they would, treat it the same way even we're treating it here now. They wouldn't, like, their podcasts probably aren't devoting an hour to this topic.
Well, I'm trying to keep it a little shorter. But there's the whole bit.
And then I guess it's the other question of, obviously it was in Japan. I wonder what the live numbers for those were in North America and stuff like that, because how many of us were awake this morning at 4 a.m. East Coast or 1 a.m. or something like that on?
Well, we were
Not for the Anime Awards, but
in my case, we were just settling back after a long day at day one. So Jerome's own conclusion, it was like Tokyo would probably give a polite eye roll. But I think he always put the ball in Crunchyroll's court about what to do next. And he would and I think to sum it up in his case, what the decision is, what will happen next in terms of Crunchyroll and the awards. It's not a dilemma, it's a decision. So and that decision could be once again counterintuitive. This is it, or maybe this is just the whole thing about award shows these days, right?
Yeah.
They're about world
maybe
premieres. They're about world premieres.
could be.
And
It's just-
Cranky Kong.
or is it a no-win situation anyway? Because we're talking just generally awards, like these type of.
How many Muppets did the Crunchyroll Awards have?
I haven't seen the broadcast.
There were none, and unfortunately there were no world premieres, but I think they did have, what was it? They said they had an Aniplex, another Aniplex teaser for Witch on the Holy Night, which is supposed to come out this year.
Yeah, of course they
from
would.
UFO Table and stuff like that. So,
course
but
they would.
my gut tells me that's going to be one of their big announcements for
Yeah,
Aniplex.
nothing
at,
nothing like self-promotion.
at Anime Expo.
Glorious 2D.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing
So
like self-promotion. Of course, Aniplex is going to do a promotion.
Anyway,
So are
but-
we ready, Mike, to move?
Yeah. Well, I guess it's time. As I said, we'll wring our hands a little bit more and get a little bit more into the guts of the whole anime awards another time. Into the second hour, and Norm McEvoy makes his annual appearance on the show.
Yeah, let the bells ring out, let the banners fly.
Okay, I know you heard some of our conversation earlier about the goings on day two.
Some of it isn't my department. Some of it I may be able to answer. Some of it will probably be no comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
It's
only
just-
so much we can do, right, Norm? It's like within...
That was just an interesting thing to have seen. I guess maybe it's also. I think also part of what happened today was also a reflection of some really pent up demand.
Okay, so what happened? I understand for the Inues, the lineup was you can only accommodate so many people for so long. And yeah, we're not like for some cons, like for example, Anime Expo, they line up for what? A ridiculous amount of time for no, we're not going to do that. And some of this is, maybe the agent, they have a certain way they want things done, and especially when you're dealing with Japanese guests.
This is a different.
You got to do it their way.
You got to follow the
It's a
rule
different
book, right?
beast.
So, yeah.
You do it their way.
I mean, to be fair.
When they say, here's how we're doing things, and here's they tell you what times they like and how long they want to do it for. Okay, and you got to go by that. In some ways, it's easy to schedule. Eileen finds that easy. You just say, hey, here's when we're doing it, and okay, and works everything else around that. They're also not interested, like North American guests will stay the whole damn weekend if they could at their autograph tables. Japanese guests, So, there's always a better way to do things. There's always glitches you have. There's always, next time we do this, we'll try something else.
And it's been a while. It's been a while since we've had more like a 30-year a guest who has been in the who's been Iwao Junko. I think was the last one we of at least this the last 30-year generation.
Oh, we've been dying to get someone like this for years.
Yeah, this is a great accomplishment.
Last thing you want to do
This
is
is a great accomplishment, dude.
And you know what, folks? Life is disappointment. We all know this. Somebody is not going to get what they want. We're very sorry. We'll try to accommodate you as best we can, but that's all I can say about that.
Well, I mean, I just admit being bummed.
I think what disappointed a lot of people, just from my observation, is that it never seemed. I think there was two different people doing the announcements, and it seemed like, at least it seemed like from where some of us were standing, that it seemed like Kikuko's name was only announced once, and then we didn't hear it again, and I shout outs to the poor girl that got mobbed the one time we did hear it, because of course there was more people that wanted Kikuko Inoue signature because of how long she's been in the industry for. So it was just an unfortunate turn of events, I would say. Yeah.
Again, I was not there. I'll probably learn more as we go along, but on the other hand, there's for sure a lot of people who are very happy with what they got, and hopefully you can get an autograph tomorrow, and especially if those people that got their autographs don't get greedy and try to come on in and get another one. That's all I can say.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But hey, as I said, it's been the gap between seeing Iwao Junko and the Inoues is a good 7 years, and a lot has changed in that time.
Oh yeah. Well, one thing is, like I said, how autographs are handled. Way back when we started this, autographs weren't charged for. Now it's well, not the Japanese guests, because they have a different rationale, but yeah. The way it works is they get the guests come in to get a guarantee, but if they make it up in autographs, they don't. We guarantee if they don't make up in autographs, we make up what they hope to. So that's a guarantee.
Yeah. Anyway,
but anything else? But
as I said, I've cooled down. It would have been nice, but and there's always tomorrow.
There's always.
And this is how
We're
life
taking
goes,
the-
right?
that's
It's
the
like we can't control the weather.
Another saying go. Tomorrow is another day.
Yeah,
Then the
and-
damn Yankees come.
Okay. On the topic of the weather, when was the last time you could recall a rainy Anime North?
It had to be before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was different before.
We were due. And frankly, I've seen where it could have been worse. It's right now. Hopefully, Sunday we'll be able to do something about it. But we were due. It's in the cards. But I think we've handled it as best we can. Some events we were able to move indoors. Other events, to say, especially outdoor states, say no, for safety reasons, you got to scrub it. So
But I know people were getting ahead of it. The truck couldn't rave. That was tonight. They moved it to Friday night.
Yeah.
Then some of the people that were doing photo shoots, I talked to a few of them, and they said some of them were able to move indoors. I think it might have been the North TCC or one of the, you know what I mean, one of the other buildings. So we were planning. We made sure everything, and so it's great that we were able to make it, and
Some
people
great
were able to
pivoting.
still have some.
Oh yeah, you plan ahead
Right.
of time. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I made the joke there in the office, like, yeah, you think we had it bad? There's a movie coming out the end of this month about weather. It's called Pressure. How you like to be the guy to tell General Eisenhower whether or not you can make the D-Day landings because of the weather?
Yeah.
That's what this is about. So yeah, we're relatively simple in comparison, but weather. Normally, you look at it and you say, "Oh, it's rain, it's rain, it's." Oh no. Usually, it moves ahead. Where the rain that's on Saturday often comes in the weekday. But you make your plan. You have a contingency. You have a plan B. You have a plan C. You know, it's never take it for granted. So
The weather doesn't know when the weekend is.
Mother Nature always wins anyway.
It was just it was just a fine English day out there with the mist, the rain, the wind, and everything else. But it was the interesting combination, right?
I think we had one where, back in our first 2004 in the
First time we were
The Renaissance.
First time on Dixon.
at Dixon. We were I was at the Renaissance running the video, but the Dixon. And what do we have? We had a huge thunderstorm. We had a blackout.
I remember that one. And
Yeah.
I feel there was another one where I was going across at night, and it was like same thing, like thunder, lightning, rain, like complete downpour.
Yeah.
Not like we had this weekend. Like that, I felt would have been worse.
If I didn't remember better, one of the first two Anime Norths had rain on one of the days. It could have been the very first one. I remember because I remember at the Michener because I drove there that day, I think, and I had to move my dad's station wagon at the time. If I remember, if it was a station wagon, if I remember correctly. I just remember having to move it around the park on the street outside. I just remember distinctly remembering it being quite.
We had some rain for the people lined up.
I also remember
but they stuck it out.
It was also the first time I ever lost my voice. Right, I only and I made this joke.
Yeah, I remember. Didn't it? If I recall what you were like back, didn't it deepen suddenly?
And then
you were
just
that
left,
young,
and then just left.
Yeah, well.
That day. Right, I never heard my voice get that deep, and then I never heard it after actually lost it.
Yeah, like I said back then, you were so young, so
it was. I made this. I made a joke a couple years ago when I lost my voice for the second time I could recall, and this was a complete joke. I just said both my ex-girlfriend and my mother thought it was the best I ever sounded afterwards.
Yeah. That's like telling you got a great kid, you got a great face for radio. You ever heard that one? No, but I've been told that.
Anyway, but all the memories and so Anime North, the 30th edition.
Yeah, and I've been at even the ones that were the pandemic. We had two that were virtual. I was there for them.
Yeah, you've seen them all.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've been on and off through the years myself, but you've seen them all.
I've seen it. As much as anyone can see them all, yeah.
Anyway,
you get some faces there. Yes.
I know you knew we were going to bring them up.
Well, we have to. We gotta, God love them.
At the beginning, at the front of this year's Anime North program, there was in loving memory a memorial to 4 members of the organizing committee. I will be honest. I don't know. I don't ever recall having a conversation with Michael Deneen and Austin Hopkins.
No, they were.
Can you say something about them, and then we'll talk a bit about.
Except the one was a very sudden, very unexpected one. I think he was. I can't say much about him because I didn't know him personally, but they were part of the family. The other two, I knew quite well.
Carl, how do I pronounce his last name? Carl Potasala.
Yeah.
He worked in the staff registration and was often the guy I spoke with when I came to get my staff badge.
Yeah.
The story with Carl, it was usually much the same. I come to you guys, Usually some confusion as to what my actual status is on staff. And then you make the determination and then tell Carl, okay, print it out. Let's print it out like this.
Yeah.
He was just so.
Well,
he was just so. Let's just go.
He was a trooper. And you saw the last few years had to go around the wheelchair or a coaster, and he had a lot of problems. And had a heart pacer put on him, but died of his kidneys gave out on him. But he was through it all. He was a trooper. He went through, and he made that staff Reds work. He was just a great guy. I used to kid with him. He came from Buffalo. He was American and diehard Democrat. Loved Buffalo. I used to make a joke with him. He came up and said, "Sanctuary, Carl, sanctuary." Yeah. Just a man you could rely on. And those people like that, they're hard to find, and you find them, you cherish them. And that was Carl. And he will be missed. His wife Sue is still with us, working and his sons. And you might see Chris around working back with the AV there, but they're back with him too. So that's one hurts. But you pick it up, And Carl would want us to do that. I remember good times there. We had something called NASFIC. That's the North American Science Fiction Convention. When the Worldcon is outside of North America, they hold one in North America. And this one that we went to a couple of years ago was in Buffalo, and we had a good time with Carl and Sue coming by to help us out. Just that Anime North had a room down there, so yeah, I'd love them. We'll miss them.
The one that hits harder for me, because I knew Cathy.
Yeah.
Cathy Schutt, the graphics designer.
Yes.
And if you... I'm the one who, on the official Facebook page, that took a picture of the memorial pin that that Ian... Well, I know Eileen had been giving them to the members of the staff who had worked...
Well, Cathy designed that.
Herself.
Yeah.
And it's now serving as her tribute.
Yes, it is.
So some select staff members are sporting around that pink pin. I have received a few notes from some of her old friends, wondering if they could get one themselves at some point.
Well, Eileen's waiting to see. You want to make sure all her staff and that gets them
I think
first.
the right people.
Yeah, to get them first, and afterwards we'll see what we can do to accommodate them. Cathy, like I said, she's the girl that you've seen racing around in the wheelchair or the scooter, but a lot of the wheelchair, just happy, full of life, She got dealt a bat-handed cards from those with something called spinal bifida. Oh. And when you're born with that, you know it's coming down the road. So it was her, a surprise, but not all that much a surprise, because you knew something was coming. And she was been having health problems in the last 2 or 3 years. It getting worse, but soldiered on through it. I just remember, she's so bright and happy. I remember going with her to Eileen and I took on a vacation with us to Ottawa and to Washington, D.C., so she could look at the Smithsonian's. One memory I can think of is we're in Ottawa. We went. We took her to the Diefenbunker, which imagine taking.
That's the
The guy was so happy. He said, "No, I'll help you get through this." It's called the Diefenbunker for a reason. It was just they built this for. That's where the Canadian government was going to hide out in case of nuclear war, and this was during the 50s and 60s. So. And she had a fun time going through that. We went through the Canadian Museum of History. We went to the Canadian War Museum. She really had a great time. Well, one thing she really had a great time is we went driving through the Gatineau Hills, and where Mackenzie King had his old estate. And we got out overlooking, looking around, and I stop and I see a motorcycle guy with one of those sidecars, and on the sidecars a wheelchair. And I'm looking at this. This guy's looking at me. He's giving me a side eye, thinking, "Oh, some smart ass is. What's he thinking, Harry?" And all of a sudden, I turn over. "Hey, Cathy, come here. Take a look at this." And she comes wheeling over and says, "Oh, wow, I want that." And moment the guy
that feels like a Need for Speed.
Moment the guy saw Cathy, he's all, "Oh, wow, let me show it to you." And he suddenly calms down, and he's proudly showing off this as his pride and joy, because he had a similar one of those take apart wheelchairs that sat on the. Think about it, the guy needs a wheelchair, but he's driving a motorcycle, and with the sidecar. So he was just so happy showing it off to Cathy. So, I think we first met her at Utarpa. Back in the 90s.
The Forerunner. So basically the Gathering Forerunner to here.
Yeah, well, the Utarpa was where so many of us met. We first met for Anime North at Primedia. Then we met, a lot of us met at Utarpa, and that's where we met people like Cathy. So she's one of the first and the founders, and one of that happy few that keeps getting fewer, but that's life.
I have 2 stories to share about Cathy.
Please.
Do you want me to start with the humorous one or the really sincere Anime North one?
Start with the happy one, then the sincere one. That sounds a good order.
Cathy, I remember, I think pre-pandemic, she joked around on her Facebook page about getting an electric lunchbox, an itaki, they call it.
Oh yeah.
She joked around about having her color choice and having it delivered. And it was the wrong color, so I
remember that.
She got us. So she told them. They told her she could keep it. We'll send you her right color. She got it.
Yeah.
It was the same color, both purple. And I think she was just happy to now have 2.
Yep.
But to this day, I don't know what became of either of them. I presume she kept them in some form.
I think so, yeah.
But I just thought that was just a real humorous bit.
That's good. Yeah.
In 2021, just in the lead up before the second, I think that was the second time we did the
Virtual?
the virtuals,
Yes.
right? And our debut on the virtuals.
Yeah.
When we talked about our role as Anime North's official podcast, and we want to add that element to the show's logo. I inquired about adding some sort of Anime North mark to the roundtable logo you see here.
Yes.
This is the final version, by the way. But the story I'll tell you now is the to and fro we had when we talked about it. We talked about that with her and Ian, and I just looked at the emails as we were looking at the email exchange just now before we started taping, and they asked me, okay, what are you envisioning first of all, and let me give you an idea. And I just thought just putting the compass would have been an idea. And they gave me 2 different versions. I'll show you the second version, which was actually the colored version of the compass.
Okay.
In the corner.
Yeah.
And I liked it, and I thought we'd go with it. But then Cathy just said to me, emailed a couple minutes afterwards, and just simply said, and I'm going to read her exact email. She said, "Just a thought. But have you considered incorporating the Anime North Presents logo into the design rather than just the standalone compass? Since you're advertising the fact that you're Anime North's official podcast, it may make sense to go that route in terms of affiliation and branding, just my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Norm, I'm going to tell you something. I've had a little bit of, when I present myself and introduce myself with this podcast, when I introduce myself and I mention our association with Anime North, I'm always uncomfortable. I don't know how much I should say official podcast of, because I wonder how true that is sometimes. Because I don't want to do anything to step on you guys.
Yeah.
Because I understand what has been worked on all these years. I reread these emails, and I remember. I remember in 2018 when we returned to the podcast, when we returned here and brought the podcast back, and did episode 1 of version 2 here. And Cathy, like we sat in the office for a little bit.
Yeah.
She was the first person to welcome us back, to welcome the podcast back. She remembered me by face, and at a point, she remembered my name.
Yeah. That sounds like her, yeah.
Yeah. So she was the one who really welcomed us back when we returned. When I reread this email, she made me think about. This email just made me think about our status as Anime North's official podcast. Because I always said I couldn't always bring myself to say the words Anime North, the official podcast of. I always said we have official status.
Mm-hmm.
But
yes.
I couldn't always say, because I just didn't always feel like. Would I step on you guys? Would I make it do something that made the association uncomfortable? That was my fear.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't know what the real answer is to that.
Well, you've been with us all these years, and we keep asking you back. That's to tell you something. And yeah, we've watched, like in your case, you were part of the all-night crew. We've watched you and others like you grow up. You know, you were all just kids when we started this. You know, and we've watched you grow up to be grown adults and doing your thing, and here we are sharing memories of someone that we cared about so much. So yeah.
Well, she made me comfortable to come back,
and I'm glad she did. I'm glad you could tell us that. So that was Cathy.
I thought I'd share that.
No, I'm glad you did.
I didn't think I'd start crying though as I did.
Yeah. Well, I'm at another one who her name isn't there, but it was over a couple of years he passed away. You ever see the name Holly Watton?
I remember the name.
Holly, God love her. Oh, she passed away too. She was that little old lady that she seen hang around the office. She started Kid Space. Mm-hmm. And now it's called Holly Space. That's for her.
And I remember that, and that is great that they were able to take that space in her memory, right? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's right in the TCC South now, and it's always going to be
Holly,
there, which is great.
Well, Holly loved kids. She loved people. She loved being with people. She loved helping people. And like I said, when she left us, that really was painful. So. Yeah, I mean, one
Hero Harmony just gave me some tissues. Thanks.
Well, that kind of reminds me going to a Mormon place, Mormon shrine and they have tissues everywhere because they tell some sad stories. So, but also stories of hope. So,
yeah.
I mean, the ones I remember at one meeting and She could pull surprises on you, okay, Holly? I remember one time telling people giving out food at places, and you make sure you only take one slice and one this, and don't go help yourself to everything, or you're gonna get me mad. And I just said, folks, she came here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and she's fresh out of bubble gum. And everybody just. But they didn't want to mess with. They didn't want to get her angry. So, but God love her, Holly. That's another one that's passed on. So
yeah,
and people like that you miss. So,
well, that's as much. There's the thought, right?
Yeah. Anything else about how the con's going? We're doing our best.
Well, I mean, as I said, this is quite an interesting year with the weather. Really, it's the weather that's the story.
But most of our stuff's inside, so I mean that's making. I've had three in this building. I've had three huge events that packed out my rooms. First was the YTV reunion. We were out with we don't know how many they're going to get, and the place packed out with waiting room. Then we had the Volca Station people. They often normally do. They'll put up a screen and show a hologram of the Miku Miku dance and the Vocaloids, and they've often done it in the parking lot. Mm-hmm. They asked this year, can we do something in one of your spaces? I said, okay, let's give it a shot. And a little bit of setup. They set the screen up inside the one of the ballrooms there, and yeah, we packed the place out for that. So I'm hoping to have good things from that. And then Totally Lame Anime.
which had been going on at the same time as
There,
us.
Jesse Bedrich did Anime Grindhouse. Mike Toole couldn't make it this year, so Jesse lucked out again.
He's busy though.
And we got our second night of karaoke.
Yeah,
I said karaoke and Glorious 2D because it's going on 2 screens.
Dave was here earlier to watch the beginning of the episode. And he's the host of karaoke.
Ever karaoke, and well, he basically said, you up for doing it? Yeah, I'd like to do Friday night. They said, I've had so many people ask, can we do a second night? We thought about it. I said, Eileen, what do you think? He says, you know what? Her philosophy is, she likes live and interactive. That is one of the Anime North, live and interactive. And it's like, if this means instead of showing a movie like we normally would at midnight, have karaoke, people enjoying, having fun, yay, let's do it. So yeah, we got that going on. We got all. You said you see what's all going on in the various buildings. I heard you talking about Mayor Chow showing up. Yeah, she's getting to really like this place.
This is her site. Like, how many years has she visited?
This is the
This is
third time.
Oh, since she became mayor.
And you're talking about Jack Layton, something?
Yeah.
Jack, yeah. Well, again, being the background I have, and I've been an NDP supporter. I remember when Jack began. I think after Tommy Douglas, he was the biggest NDP success story going. But again, left us too soon. But Jack was a stand-up guy, so. And he fought for the working man, so yeah, we need more of that. But Chow, the Mayor Chow just loves coming down, so
Those pictures with Donald I saw last year.
Donald just loves getting this picture. He just loves escorting her. It's like it's his baby, and he loves bringing her around and showing it off, and yeah.
And we'll preface that. If not many people know, Donald is Anne's original founder. In many
one
respects.
of the trivia questions in the Black Folks Like Anime 2 panel.
So,
well, basically, I told you the story how him and Eileen met at Prime Media, a con named Prime Media, and he talked with her. How would you be interested in working on an anime con? And well, it took off from there.
well.
I remember once Mayor Chell was asking. I think she's been asking, "Is there any anime characters I could cosplay as?" That would fit? Mike said, "Yeah, there is. Mayor Pauline, Her Honor the Mayor, Mayor Pauline from Donkey Kong. All you need is a red coat and a hat. You know the one I'm talking about? Yeah, that's perfect." So,
well,
but anyways,
and she's not above dressing up, so she has quite a bit actually in recent years.
So anyhow, that's it. We're going on, folks. We got one more day. We are moving some stuff into Hall C, so we may be able to put some of the stuff on. Fortunately, Otaku Blue.
Can't win them all, dude.
Not gonna win them all,
like from the outset from this conversation tonight. Can't win them all.
The Gadasatsu got to do a turn on the main stage though, and we're glad for them because people love them. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, that's a super popular one. So, no, things are more or less shambling on. So, like they always do.
Well, hopefully we can dry off a little tomorrow. A little.
Well, on the lead up to this con, like I've been doing this again from last Sunday, coming in and to help set stuff up and that.
Yeah, it's probably worth mentioning. Much of the staff settles here for the week.
Well,
and the week leading up.
And when they started, it was a heat wave.
Yes, it was. And I was one of the people working through it. So
I know the weather's a crazy beast, as we know, right?
It's getting crazier.
That's it.
It reminded me. I'm glad why now I know why I retired. Because I don't want to have to work through heat waves like that anymore.
That's not the easy thing to do. It's
especially in a steel plant.
Anyway.
Anything else? Or?
That's it. Thanks. Thanks for the therapy session.
That's... You want some chocolate? Eileen's got lots in the, stop by and
I
Eileen.
have my share for a while, so
Yeah.
it's probably not in my best interest.
Yeah, the caffeine and sugar, that's about the strongest substances we go on here.
Have you tried spicy tortilla chips and black coffee? No.
Spicy does. With my ethnic background, spicy doesn't go.
No, this one just did not work.
Geez, our mother wouldn't even use garlic. Because Scott's mother, she didn't believe in that fern stuff. So, black pepper was about the most she ever got. But no, actually, the manager got me a double espresso in the morning.
How you feeling?
What?
How are you feeling now?
Oh, great. She didn't know, as I told her. Yeah, have you ever had espresso? I said, dude, I worked with how many old country Italians at the plant? 3 o'clock in the morning, yeah, we're going to have some espresso. They have an espresso brew up. So, yeah, I know what espresso is. So, yeah.
Didn't phase you at all.
Help get me through some night shifts.
Yeah, caffeine's useful.
It is.
Anyway, thanks, Norm.
Okay, and God bless everyone, and have some fun at the con. So hopefully see you again next year.
I'm back.
You got the invite out already, obviously.
Without fail.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for the thought, Norm.
Yep. I'll let Eileen know.
I'll talk to her. I'll try and talk to her tomorrow. I will. I'll make sure to email sooner rather than later.
You mean the day after, Mike?
Or at least within a month. Sorry about that. Okay, Kevin, you want to leave a thought with what you just heard, or should we just end it because it's late, quite honestly.
I won't lie, because I was catching up with Will, so I didn't hear a good chunk of that conversation.
Listen to the recording. Okay, cool. Well, there isn't too much else to mention, I guess, right? Mm-hmm. So,
I think it is very timely with the 30th. I know that gets a little bit wishy-washy because of the lockdown years, but I will say they knocked it out of the park as far as their enamel pins honoring the 30th this year. I thought their 30th pins were great. But I think that is a great time to think back. And you see a lot of the posters for some sort of collection that's being
the 30
done. So hopefully that turns out good. There wasn't a panel this year looking back at the history of Anime North. I wonder, I don't know if that's because I think Z the Raccoon was the one doing that for a while. I'm not sure if that person just isn't here this year. But
I think Z's around. Z is around.
Oh, okay.
So, but having you said all of this, maybe this is my final thought for tonight. I know I'm going to right now admit that I've been a little picky for the last little bit or so.
Picky with what?
During the last stream, I went on a little monologue about the use of the number 30. This year's Anime North has been billed as the 30th Anime North, not the anniversary, and that's set for next year. But I know there was a brief thing on at least on the Facebook group over that.
Yeah, 30 is a magical number, Mike. Because as a famous VTuber, Hosho Marina, has said, the age of 30 is in demand.
Well, that didn't sound right.
I was going to say,
it sounds exactly what I meant.
But admittedly, I think I've gotten a little defensive about the actual use of the word anniversary.
Is it also because we have the Blue Jays' 50th anniversary, even though they didn't start playing till
50th season, right?
1977?
Anyway, generally, I do get the idea that this weekend is a celebration of our fandom, and I'm always going to be for that. And the 30th edition is nothing to scoff at, obviously. But here's the thing: as someone who was there at the first AN, at the beginning, the passage of time has become more more poignant, as you probably just saw in our conversation with Norm. Especially since we're now at the point where people who started the journey with us are no longer there to continue it. After all, we just mentioned 4 are in memoriam this year. And I think that group, I think in that group, to appreciate things next year, the group of us who started want to really start to appreciate things next year as we did in 1997, and appreciate the growth since then, and what has come since then in that way. So I'm going to give an olive branch. I'd like to give an olive branch to everything as 2027 happens. When the NHL celebrated its 100 years back in 2017, I think it was, they held 2 outdoor games specifically to acknowledge it. The Centennial Classic at the beginning of the year between the Leafs and the Red Wings was to celebrate the beginning of the actual 100th year. And the NHL 100 game between the Senators and the Habs was to celebrate the actual 100 years to the day of the first NHL game, which happened towards the end of 1917. After today, let's start to ramp up to that actual 30 years to the date and enjoy what we do and with the people we want to enjoy it with. But please spare a thought for those of us, again, who had seen it at the beginning. We might be looking at 30 a different way because, well, at least 4 of us won't be there to see it. And almost certainly, that number will start to grow. I'm just hoping that by the time we come back here next year, it'll be on the under. My final thank you to Cathy Schutt. Enjoy the con up there, and we'll talk again. Thank you also to Joel Blass, Norm and Eileen McEvoy, and the rest of the AN staff for always welcoming us to tell us a little bit of the story here every year. Hopefully, we'll come back to tell that story again. At least, hopefully we'll be able to tell that story again. And when we do, well, we'll be back for sure, without fail. But that's all we have for tonight. If you're on YouTube, please give this a thumbs up or leave us your comments down below. Or go to animeroundtable.com for all the ways you can reach us. That also includes links to the socials, YouTube, and Twitch accounts. And as for the podcast side, please leave us a review, if you can, wherever you get your podcasts, as it would greatly help us.
Please give us that 5-star review, or 4, or 3, or if you really think we're shit, 1. But it's just really honestly nice to know.
Remember what they say. Engagement is engagement.
Yeah, because honestly, we really would like to know people. We like to know that people know that we exist in some degree or another. And we have friends that do tune in. And it's always nice to hear from them, but it's always nice to hear from new people and see what their perspectives are as well. So, yeah, just let us know that you exist, if you feel like it, of course.
I'd like to know. Just a quick note on Twitch and YouTube. Please give us a follow or a subscribe there, so you can be notified whenever we do something new there. Also, if you have a Spotify account, please check out the Anime Roundtable playlist for a list of the music based on the things that we mention regularly here. The opening theme song is entitled FUBUKI Snowstorm by Pico Masaki. You could have listened to any anime podcast in the world, but you decided to listen to one of the oldest, 20 years plus, and we appreciate that. So until next time, thanks for watching in the room. Thanks for listening. Good night from Anime North. And join us again for another edition of the Anime Roundtable.
Age of 30 is truly in demand, though, I gotta say. No, honestly, I'm assuming you hit the stop button now, but it's always nice to see streamers and VTubers that are not 20-somethings and you can actually relate to them. And that's why the Age of 30 is in demand.
I thought, Kevin, that they were all 40-year-old men and stuff like that.
That's cool too.
Or
the
if
sad
they
part
were
is-
the opposite sex, then it would be, I guess, 40-year-old women.
We love our hags and wizards in the streaming community.